I was able to correctly predict multiple projects that James Gunn announced in Chapter 1 of his DCU slate titled Gods and Monsters. Let's see if I can do it again. In this video, I'm going to list 5 properties we could be seeing in the next chapter of DC content. In my previous video, I discussed my ideal casting for a few DC Comics characters and how they could be portrayed. This video will be more about characters themselves who I think need to be brought in and represented in live action, and discuss story points that would be critical to bring them all together. With that being said, let's start. Number 1. The Question. The Question is a character I've spoken about for a while now, and it's completely justified. He obscures his face because of his extreme paranoia, and works as a detective solving mysteries. He is probably one of the biggest conspiracy theorists in DC. Think Sherlock Holmes crossed with John Malkovich's character from Red. Being that he is a street-level character, they need to introduce him in a street-level property, or have a similar character show up in his film or show. Having someone like Batman or even Nightwing work alongside the Question would be incredible. Possibly an unlikely pairing with Dick Grayson, where Batman is unavailable and he has to turn to someone else to assist him with getting to the bottom of a crime in Bloodhaven. Maybe they team up to find out why you haven't hit the like or subscribe buttons yet. Or even the Question can go to Batman to help unravel some corporate conspiracy at Wayne Enterprises. If James Gunn really wants to shock people, he should have Batman, the Brave and the Bold, bring in the Question and have the two of them team up to help take down the Court of Owls from the New 52 comic book run. This would be similar to what Marvel has done in the past, having an established character work alongside newcomers to help bolster their public appeal and spin them off into their own franchises, and it could absolutely work. Number 2. Zatanna, daughter of the magician Zatanna, who also appeared in Action Comics number 1 with another character some of you may have heard of. Fans of this character have been screaming for years to get her into the DCU, formerly the DCEU. DCEU? DCU? No, whatever, that's defunct anyway. She is a direct descendant of Leonardo da Vinci, is a powerful magic user, and is part of the Justice League. Adding Zatanna to the DCU would work well because we can merge the monsters of the Creature Commandos and the supernatural/magical side of DC. Throw in the Swamp Thing project that closes out Chapter 1 and sprinkle in a little Constantine or Etrigan the Demon, and we have the foundation of the Justice League Dark. They can use her to explore the darker sides of DC and look into more of the magical side of the universe. She can even help bring in more Vertigo characters that could help expand the universe. Characters such as those from Sandman and even Lucifer himself. She had a project that was recently canceled prior to DCU's reformation. And although there has been a long history of trouble producing something with her at the center, I think now will be the time that they hit the nail on the head. Number 3. Plastic Man, a former criminal who can stretch his body into unbelievable shapes and objects. And DC's answer to Mr. Fantastic, which, quick sidebar, I know Reed Richards was created by Stan Lee and was part of the first real Silver Age Marvel team, and the Fantastic Four is literally called Marvel's first family. But what kind of arrogant jerk chooses to call himself Mr. Fantastic? No wonder Dr. Doom hates him so much. Oh geez, this cutaways gone on way too long. Plastic Man would be a hard character to fit in, but it can be done. If James Gunn can bring in Arm Fall Off Boy and update him to the detachable kid in the Suicide Squad, then I have no worries that he can do the same for Plastic Man. It would be best to give him his own show on HBO Max, and do the show almost like the Doom Patrol, where it isn't taking itself too seriously. That way, they'll be able to bring in characters from the DCU to basically act as a straight man to the insanity that is Plastic Man. If they are going to bring him in, they need to make it a comedy, and they would have to get a good team on board. I would love to see him team up with other characters from the golden age of comics. It would be really fun to see him interact with members of the Justice Society of America, since they all debuted around the same time. If The Rock will ever let that happen. And if they wanted to bring him in with an Elseworlds film instead of a solo show, they could build up to an Injustice movie or series and use him like he was in the comics. I will go into detail about how DC can set up an Injustice series in a later video, so stay tuned. Number 4. The Atom. Ray Palmer has had a ton of exposure with Legends of Tomorrow, and they had a freaking Superman playing him in that show. Ray could show up in a movie or series working as a support role. I don't think DC needs to give him a project of his own just because Marvel has their own franchise with somebody who shrinks. But they could have him be a part of an ensemble and make him work with the Justice League of America to solve any problems that arise. I think if they move forward with the JLA in some capacity, they would have to make their base the Watchtower from the Bruce Timm and Paul Dini shows. If they bring in the Atom in his own projects, I would like to see him work with other DC characters and take on a villain with a different power set than what he has. I mean, it's not like we've seen heroes and villains fight in a mirror match before. Oh, wait! Number 5. Static Shock. If you grew up in the late 90s or early 2000s, you have to remember Static Shock. Virgil Hawkins originally started out in the Milestone universe, but he quickly rose to be one of their most iconic faces for the imprint. Do you see what I did there? Iconic. Like icon. The character. With the explosion of popularity Static had with his books, DC worked fast to greenlight the show we now know today as Static Shock, which took the character and dialed him down enough to be suitable for a child audience. But the origins of Static are much more dark and adult than the show would let on. I think we could see Static in an HBO Max show, where they use him as a vantage point to different American cultures. Through his eyes, we would be able to see the daily struggles of being a teen in a big city, dealing with crime and consistently having to watch your back, and how one teenager can make a difference by standing up to those who would ruin his neighborhood and destroy the things around him as well as the people he cares for. The origins of Static can differ from the original comic, where he was kind of an anti-Semite at first and brought a gun to shoot a school bully? Holy crap, how did they make this a kid's show? Instead, they can make him more of a sympathetic character and evolve him to become more confident and a powerful young man. Having this character would also give people more insight on someone else's upbringing. Seeing Virgil grow up without his mom and having an overbearing father who is just trying his best to keep his son on the straight and narrow without even knowing his son is a powerful meta-human who's part of the Justice League and has done more in his short time with powers than his father could ever fathom is an impactful story. It would also be a gateway to join more street-level characters together. Yes, they are separated by different cities, but would still all fall under the same umbrellas of the JSA or JLA. Meaning, when something insane is coming to Earth, possibly a giant hulking gray monster with piercing red eyes that shoot frickin' laser beams and is seeking the literal anti-life equation comes knocking, we will have the best line of defense that DC's budget can afford. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, I kindly ask you to hit like on the video, as it really does help, and subscribe for more content. If you would like to see more from me, check out this video where I discuss top 10 characters overall I would like to see in the DCU, or click here to see my thoughts on what James Gunn has to do right to really nail Superman Legacy. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.